Hello friends! Today I want to take you on a tour of my garden in late June. Let's start in the flower garden. My cosmos are blooming. They're some of the earliest bloomers in my garden, which makes me love them even more. They have the softest, feathery foliage that I adore. And so many buds. I also have lots of dahlias planted. I just tucked 10 more mystery dahlias into my vegetable garden. I pinched out the tops of these dahlias several weeks ago, and they're already starting to branch beautifully, which means that I'll have more blooms and stems that are a little easier to handle. Here's my pink Delphinium, which is a new acquisition this year, and my blue Delphinium, which I put in last year and which I was delighted to see came back this year, despite being eaten by a groundhog last year. My purple coneflower is sending up buds. And I've planted some pumpkins in the flower garden as well because I just can't get enough of pumpkins this year and I was out of room in the vegetable garden. Here are my Snapdragons from a few weeks ago. They're starting to reach the end of their first bloom at the moment, but they're still beautiful even as the colors get softer and more delicate. This is my one and only Peony for this year. I wasn't expecting any blooms this year because they're new over the winter, so I was delighted to even get one. I haven't seen any birds in the bird bath yet, but I'm hoping they discover it soon. Let's head over to the vegetable garden. The trellis is a new addition this year. It's made out of a cattle panel, and I've planted squash and tomatoes at the base to climb up it. The squash are looking very happy. I love the variegation on the Long Island cheese pumpkin especially. The first tiny patty pan squash is forming. This sign was a gift from my Aunt Annie, and I love it, and I love that she wanted to share a bit of her garden with me. The zinnias are starting to bud, which is so exciting. I have so many beautiful varieties of zinnias this year. This trellis is my most recent one, and the red curry squash that I planted at the base of it are starting to show their true leaves, which is so exciting. I've also planted peas at the base of this trellis. These are Magnolia flowered peas, and they're the only peas that I have because the rest got eaten by a groundhog. My purple jalapenos are starting to flower. I love the color of these flowers. We're nearing the end of the season for my spring greens, including this delicious Chiji Misai, which is an Asian green. And the bok choy are almost done too. They've been absolutely delicious. We've been eating bok choy pretty much every day. The lettuce is holding up surprisingly well considering that we're really getting into summer now. We're still eating lots of lettuce. And my lettuce is planted in amongst my garlic, which is forming scapes. This is my first year growing garlic, and I'm so excited to see that the bulbs are really forming well, and in 3 weeks or so I think they'll be ready to harvest. You can tell they're ready when 3 or 4 of the bottom leaves go brown. Here is my other squash and cucumber bed. I've made just a simple trellis out of posts and chicken wire, and I have all kinds of squash. And the raspberries are starting to get a little bit of a blush. These are black raspberries, which are my favorite. Here is my other area of trellises, and you might notice they're looking bare because a groundhog ate pretty much everything that was growing on them, which were sweet pea flowers and snap peas. Some of the sweet peas have survived, and I'm hoping maybe for a late summer to autumn bloom on them. But I'll also plant some more squash so that the space on these trellises doesn't go to waste. And now for the tomatoes. I have a tomato bed all along the back of my garden. They're starting to flower, which is so exciting. You can just see the first tiny tomato forming. This is on my white tomasol variety. And I've companion planted my tomatoes with marigolds. I love the color of this one. These are my first marigolds from seed. I've also planted with calendula to draw pollinators, and also just to add some extra beauty because you can never have too many flowers. And I'm growing sunflowers for the first time. This is Ruby Eclipse, which is a variety that has a beautiful burgundy color mixed in with a pale yellow. Here's the house as seen from the garden. It's such a joy to live here. Thank you so much for joining me on this little garden tour, and I'll talk to you soon.